Hello! In my last video, I showed how to create dynamic custom data labels without using Microsoft Visual Basic for applications. In this video, you will see the solution with Visual Basic. Data labels can help to convey key messages in the chart, and with dynamic data labels, the commenting of charts can run on autopilot. This chart shows two pieces of information. First, the top performers, because sales are in descending order, and on top of the columns, also the growth rates with symbols for positive and negative signs and zero, and colorful comments about best and worst rates. As the filter selection changes, and in this example is chocolate type, the comments change and move to new columns. I will also show you a trick how to get the growth rate values into the data labels, even though these labels belong to the sales columns. So let's start. As preparation work, I changed the data range to a table by selecting it and pressing Ctrl and T together. Added a column chart and inserted a slicer to filter the table easier. I did this by clicking in the table and then under Insert, adding the slicer. I will be embedding the macro into the sheet itself, and it should be triggered when filter changes, but a slicer selection cannot trigger macro. So I'll need a calculation or dummy tied to the table on the sheet. My dummy will be a simple cell reference, and I'm going to set B6 equal to D17, and I'm going to hide it under the slicer. And now the promised trick. In my data labels, I need values for growth, not sales. But the columns depict sales in thousands for the year 2021. To achieve this, I can add growth values to the chart, but make them invisible, and will use these values in labels thanks to specifying that I need the full series collection and not just series collection in the macro. So let's add growth to the chart. And deselect it to make it invisible. In this way, the growth values are there, but they're not visible. And now let's start writing the macro. By pressing Alt and F11 together, I'm going to open the Visual Basic editor and start writing the macro. The macro will be embedded in Sheet 1, where our table and chart are. So I'm going to click on it and choose Worksheet. Now I need the calculation event. So I will choose it from the list and delete the previous suggestion. Let's first declare the variables. Our chart is the chart that we're working with. Our series are the column series. Other series are the growth series. M is going to be the maximum value of the growth rates, so it is declared as double because it may be decimal. N will be the minimum value. P is going to be the point number in the chart, so it is an integer. And C will be declared as string. I will be using C to add the symbols Let's define the variables and set our chart to be chart 1 on the active sheet. Let's set our series to be series 1 of our chart. And let's set the other series to be series 2 of our chart. Please note that I used FullSeriesCollection. So this question comes quite often in different forums. What's the difference between FullSeriesCollection and SeriesCollection? Because both of them exist. FullSeriesCollection lets me work also with hidden series, not only visible ones. And SeriesCollection lets me work only with the visible series. And because growth is hidden in our chart, I need the FullSeriesCollection to work with this series. Let's specify the default properties of our series until we begin the loop. I want our series to have data labels, so I'll set has data labels to true. I want the number format of the labels to be without decimal places. I want the position to be outside end. The font name should be Arial. And the font size should be 12. Also, I want the color of the text and data labels to be a moderate shade of blue. Now I will define m and n as maximal and minimal values of other series, so basically of the growth rates. So m will be equal to worksheet function max of the array of the values of other series. And n will equal to worksheet function min of the array of the values of other series. So here are meant the values that would have been visible if the series of the growth rates were visible in the chart. So let's start the loop. So for P from 1 to our series points count, meaning from 1 to the number of countable points in the chart of our series. And now I'm going to write the conditions which will specify the usage of symbols, the text, and the coloring of the data labels. Instead of the positive and negative signs, I would like to use arrows pointing upwards or downwards, and for 0 I would like to use a square. This means that I have 3 cases: for negative growth rates, positive growth rates, and 0. I will use select case to specify the character codes for the triangles and the rectangle depending on one of the 3 cases. So select case of other series value corresponding to the point if growth rate is negative, then C equals, and now I'm going to get the character code. This is done in the following way. By going to Insert and Symbol, I can get a list of different symbols displayed. My font is Arial, and if I go to Geometric Shapes, I can find an upward pointing triangle, a downward pointing triangle that can act as arrows, and a square. The character code of the upward pointing triangle is 25B2. The downward pointing triangle has character code 25BC. And the square has a character code 25A0. I'm going to use these character codes in C. So if the growth rate is negative, C will have to equal 25BC. If the number is positive, then C will equal 25B2. Case else will be the 0. And in this case, C will equal 25A0. Now let's get to text and colors. And this I'm going to do with the if-then conditions. So if the value of other series corresponding to this point, so the growth rate corresponding to this point, is equal to m, the maximum value of the growth rates, then the corresponding data label of our series has to have the text, best rate, space, close quotation marks, joined with car 10, that's a line break. Joined with worksheet function unicar of worksheet function hex to dets of C. So hex to dets changes the character code to a decimal, and unichar fetches the equivalent symbol. And this joined with worksheet function round of the absolute value of m multiplied by 100 and rounded without decimal points. Joined with a percent sign. The color of the text in the data label should be green. Else if the value of other series corresponding to the point is equal to the minimal value, then, and now I'm going to copy these two lines and paste them here, then the best rate has to be changed to worst rate. Instead of m, I will put n. And the color will be red. Else, I don't want any text. Let me just copy this. So I don't want the text. I just want the symbol and the number. And this will be the equivalent value of other series. And if, and next p to finalize the loop. So let me transfer parts of the macro text to the next line for better visibility. And that's it. So let's test. So if I sort the values in descending order, I can see the best rate and the worst rate displayed with comment and in green and red colors. If I select white chocolate, for example, the best rate and worst rate change. Let me illustrate my point with the full series collection and series collection once more. So if I change both our series and other series to series collection instead of full series collection, what will happen is the macro will crash. because other series are not visible. If I add FullSeriesCollection here to other series, then the macro will continue. That's because FullSeriesCollection works also with the invisible series, and SeriesCollection only works with the visible series. If you would like to use this code, please don't forget to change the name of the sheet on which your chart is, the name of the chart, the numbers of our series and other series, and also please don't forget to embed the code on the sheet where the dummy or some calculation tied to the filter table is. And also to add other series under Select Data into the chart and then to hide it. If you like this video, please like and subscribe for more practical spreadsheet solutions.